It was Christmas Eve brunch when my dad pulled me aside. His voice was low, almost rehearsed. "Don't make a scene. Keep it calm." I nodded. "Got it." Right then, my mom let out a laugh, loud enough for the whole table to hear, and chirped, "We did Secret Santa this year, but we figured you wouldn't mind sitting it out." I didn't say a word. Just smiled, slid the envelope I brought back into my coat pocket, and sent a single text, "Message received." 43 seconds later, things began to unravel. My brother suddenly shouted, "Why would you do this today, of all days?" I didn't raise my voice. Just looked him straight in the eye and said, "No drama. Just boundaries." Then I shut the door behind me. I had come in carrying a halfway decent bottle of wine, 2 envelopes wrapped in ribbon, and not a single illusion left. This used to be a tradition that meant something. Now it was more like a well-staged photo shoot. The hallway smelled like cinnamon-scented air freshener and fake fir needles. Same 12 holiday songs on a loop. Everything looked flawless, and honestly, that should have tipped me off. Picture-perfect settings rarely mean the people inside are doing just fine. The first crack showed early. Dad took me aside near that back hallway, right next to the closet that still has my old coats no one ever tosses, but everyone walks past. His voice wasn't angry, it was almost cold. Almost like a script. "Don't embarrass us." "No drama," he said. "Copy that," I replied, and went to hang my coat. That's when Mom spotted me. She smiled like she just realized I was there, and said loud enough for the room, "We did Secret Santa, but figured you wouldn't mind being skipped." It hit soft. The kind of blow that doesn't bruise but sticks. The table chuckled. Even my little niece giggled, though she had no clue what the joke meant. Kept my smile. Quietly put the envelope with gift cards for all of them back into my pocket. Sent that one message. Message received. That was all. No yelling. No slammed doors. Just a quiet recognition that nothing had changed, except me. And 43 seconds later, the cracks widened. I didn't plan for things to fall apart. But the moment I stepped out of character, stopped playing the part they'd assigned me, the panic kicked in. My brother stood so fast he knocked over his mimosa. "Why would you do this on Christmas?" he snapped. I answered without flinching. "No drama. Just boundaries." Then I walked out, closed the door behind me, and left them with their curated little holiday scene, already starting to fray from the inside. Because here's the thing. When the support system pulls away, everything it was propping up starts to shift. They hadn't figured that out yet. But this wasn't a meltdown. It was a diagnostic. And I had just flipped the first breaker. I didn't go far. Just circled the block twice, parked behind the old church where they held my 3rd birthday, and let the engine idle. That's when it hit me. Not sadness. Not anger. Something sharper. I wasn't reacting. I was running a full internal scan. Memories sorted like files. Details arranged like blueprints. And for the first time in years, I saw it all clearly. This wasn't the first time I'd been skipped. Wasn't the first holiday I showed up only to find there wasn't a seat with my name on it. Last year? They took a family photo and literally cropped me out, said it looked more balanced that way. The year before that? They all chipped in for a group gift and didn't even tell me. When I asked, they said, "Oh, we thought you were out of town." I lived 20 minutes away. Then there was my sister's wedding. I got the 3rd speech slot, after the dog. I wish I were joking. Mom used to tell people I didn't like attention to excuse forgetting my birthday. Twice. I helped cover the 2nd mortgage once. No one said thank you. Just a message that read, "Funds cleared. We've got it from here." One Thanksgiving I drove 6 hours for. My seat went to a neighbor. "We figured you wouldn't mind sitting in the kitchen." Same story, every time. I gave. They took. And somehow I was always left out. And I swallowed it. Every single time. Told myself I was overthinking it. That they cared, just not in the way I hoped. But now I saw it clearly. It wasn't some odd version of love. It was dependence, dressed up like affection. And the truth? I had trained them to treat me that way. I made myself available. Quiet. Helpful. I was the guy who showed up early, stayed late, and fixed what broke before anyone noticed it was falling apart. And they thanked me by handing my seat to someone else. When my mom said, "We figured you wouldn't mind being skipped," she meant it. That's how she sees me. Not vital. Not necessary. Just an extra piece in a backup drawer. Someone you only notice when he stops working. And the most twisted part? I've covered more emergencies, filled more job gaps, and patched more of my brother's debts than anyone in that room even knows. They don't resent me. That would require acknowledging me. They just barely tolerate me. That's when I started thinking in terms of infrastructure. What was still under my name? What accounts? What subscriptions? What roles had they quietly built into their lives under the assumption that I'd never pull the plug? And the deeper I looked, the more I realized this wasn't just about one holiday. It was the whole setup. A design flaw hiding in plain sight. I was the beam they'd strung Christmas lights across, the one no one bothered to check for cracks. And the moment I stepped back, even for an hour, the whole thing started creaking. Because the structure was never solid. It only looked that way from the outside. They'd built it all on me, and never once asked if I could still hold the weight. I had become the ghost in the machine. And now? That ghost had left the system. They just didn't realize it yet. Brunch was the least of their concerns. Because I still remembered every password. I knew exactly what they had access to, every login, every account, every favor I'd extended over the years. And this time, I wasn't wiping the trail clean. This wasn't an emotional breakdown. It was a methodical overhaul. When I got home, I plugged in my laptop like a surgeon prepping for something precise, quiet, careful, and necessary. Not some impulsive act. Just a steady unraveling. One step at a time. Step 1. The audit. I pulled up a fresh spreadsheet. One by one, I listed every point of connection they had to me, financially, digitally, structurally. Each row told a story. The shared family phone plan. The home Wi-Fi I installed and kept paying for. The security systems still linked to my company's account. Their smart locks. The cloud storage for the home cameras. The thermostat. All tied to the same enterprise license. Then came the entertainment. Netflix. Disney Plus. Prime Video. All running under my personal email address. I saw my dad's business software, something I'd set up for him as a favor years ago. The mortgage I co-signed to help them qualify. The insurance policy I helped build. All of it. The family cloud drives, their password manager, even their tax software, under my umbrella. And sitting at the very top? The emergency trust fund I'd created for them. The one they didn't even realize I could freeze with a single notarized email. Step 2. Dismantling. At exactly 5:12 p.m., I pulled the plug on the streaming services. Every profile, done. Even the one labeled Dad, Big Guy, cut out mid-movie. By 5:30, I was logged into the cloud license dashboard. I started shutting down access to all smart home devices connected through my enterprise account. The cameras blinked off. The thermostat threw an error. The smart lock switched to manual mode. At 6:02, I signed into the back end of their accounting software, the same one I'd quietly maintained for free since I installed it 5 years ago. I killed the license. Logged out every session. I left a simple message across the dashboard. This service was provided free of charge. Effective immediately, access is revoked. At 6:34 p.m., I filed the paperwork to remove myself as the co-signer on the refinanced mortgage. That move triggered a credit reevaluation. Without my score backing it, the rate would shoot up. I marked the form urgent and included all the right documents. At 6:51, I called my insurance advisor and asked them to take my family off any private policy as beneficiaries, just to cover my bases. Then at 7:10, I made one more call to a firm I used to subcontract for. They're expensive, thorough, specialize in replacing legacy systems when businesses get caught unprepared. I told them to expect a call from my dad within 2 days, and to charge their full rate. No discounts, no courtesy. After that, I sat back and waited. By 8:03 p.m., the alerts began. First, a message from my sister. Why can't I access the thermostat? I didn't reply. Then my mom chimed in. Did you change the Wi-Fi? Netflix stopped working. Is the camera app down? I let the messages roll in. Didn't say a word. At 8:27, my dad called. I let it ring. At 8:31, he sent a text. This is childish. That actually made me laugh. By 9:02 p.m., a voicemail popped up, the lender calling about the refinance. They sounded concerned. Asked me to return the call. I didn't. At 9:17 p.m., the family Netflix thread was blowing up. Did someone hack the account? Is it just down for us? Whose login still works? I sent one message. Just one. I stepped away, just like you preferred. That was it. No emojis. No further details. Then I powered off my phone. But I wasn't finished. I logged into my business dashboard and found 2 old clients still active, my uncle's side business and a dental office run by one of my parents' friends. Both hosted under my licenses. Both running on my infrastructure. Access revoked. I dropped a brief message in each account. This service was provided as a familial favor. That arrangement has ended. By morning, I woke up to 7 voicemails, 12 missed calls, for emails, and a group text that asked, "Why are you doing this?" It's Christmas. Exactly. Because it's Christmas. Because I showed up with thoughtful gifts, and they showed up with a public reminder that I didn't matter. Because they didn't want a person. They wanted a silent provider. And that's what they had, until now. The final step came at 11:03 a.m. I walked into the notary's office. Froze the trust. Locked it tight. No disbursements. No exceptions. Not without a court order. If they wanted to touch that fund again, they'd need to fight for it. Formally. That's when the real panic set in. By lunch, the cousin chat was in chaos. Why is your dad flipping out? Aunt Linda said the house is freezing and the power's weird. Did you cut off their internet? I didn't reply. Then, at 1:04 p.m., I got a message from my mom. Just one sentence. You're destroying the family. I came close to answering, no, I'm just not paying for it anymore. But I didn't send it. I archived the message instead. Because this wasn't destruction. This was self-preservation. For once, I was choosing to protect something, myself. 2 days passed. Not a single call. No dramatic monologues. Not even a guilt trip from my sister. Just this heavy, buzzing silence that filled the space like static. Then came the third morning. 6:14 a.m. A knock at my apartment door. I didn't move. Another knock. Louder this time. Then her voice, familiar and sharp. My mom. We need to talk. Now. I stood there just behind the door and let her speak. Every word she'd rehearsed. She didn't come to say sorry. Nope. She was there to take back control. When I stayed silent, she pulled out her phone and started dialing right there in the hallway. My voicemail lit up immediately. You've gone too far. You've hurt your father. Your brother is beside himself. Do you even care what you've done to this family? I didn't answer. 5 minutes later, another knock. This time, it was my sister. She yelled through the door. You're ruining Christmas just because you can't stand being background noise for once. I couldn't help but smile. Because that was exactly it, wasn't it? Background noise. The static no one really noticed at their holiday party. Tolerated but never truly welcomed. I heard her rant for a bit before stomping off. Probably off to craft a message for the family group chat. Sure enough, 20 minutes later, my phone blew up. Dad, this isn't how adults behave. Mom, we raised you better than this. Sister, you're acting like a sociopath. We're family. Family. Then came the wave of guilt. You've always been different. We did our best. You're punishing us for things we didn't even mean to do. I stared at those words for a long moment. Didn't even mean to. Like that made it okay. Like accidentally cutting someone doesn't hurt because you didn't mean to draw blood. At 8:47 a.m., my uncle, the same guy who used to pat me on the head and say, "Attaboy," after I fixed his Wi-Fi, sent his 2 cents. Whatever grudge you're holding, you're taking it way too far. Mom's been crying for 2 days. Then came my dad's message, not even bothering to hide the threat. Turn the system back on. I just laughed. Not because it was funny, but because he still thought I was some kind of machine. a switch he could flip at will. They didn't get it. They thought this was some emotional outburst. A tantrum. A meltdown. But no, this was quiet, calm resolution. Because I hadn't just walked away. I'd cut every invisible cord tying them to my silence. And now, they were unraveling. By noon, they were calling everyone they could. My best friend got a message on Facebook from my mom. "Do you know what's wrong with him? He's not himself. Please reach out." My ex got a text from my sister. "I know you don't talk, but please, he's spiraling." They were painting me as unstable. Dangerous. Because the son who always said yes had stopped talking. And in their world, silence was violence. At 3:14 p.m., another knock on the door. This time, my aunt, the one who always wore guilt like a designer scarf. She showed up with a casserole. No subtlety at all. "We don't know what's going on," she said. "But this isn't like you." She said it like a prayer, like if she repeated it enough, I'd open that door and everything would snap back to how it used to be. But I wasn't interested in snapping back. I wanted distance. She left the casserole on the doorstep and drove off. By 5 p.m., the tone shifted. It wasn't about concern anymore. It was about payback. Dad's message came through, cold and clear. "You're not the only one who knows how to play hardball." My sister posted something cryptic on Instagram. "Some people act like victims while quietly causing harm, and then play the victim. Just remember that." Then the digital attack started. Failed password resets. Fake login warnings. 2 calls from unknown numbers. An alert from my bank. They were flailing. Desperate to drag me back into the role they needed me to play. The responsible one. The fixer. The codependent provider. But I wasn't answering. And they didn't know how to survive without me. At 7:42 p.m., I got a call from an unknown number. Voicemail again. "You're making a huge mistake. Think this through," my dad growled. "You think you're untouchable, but we have our own cards to play." I played the message twice. The same man who used to introduce me to colleagues as our tech genius was now trying to bluff like a low-level mobster. My only thought? They really don't get what silence means to me. Because I wasn't trying to win. I was done playing. At 8:06 p.m., my sister posted an Instagram story. Our baby photo, us wearing matching Christmas sweaters. Caption: "Some people forget where they came from. But blood remembers." It got 34 likes in the first hour, mostly extended family, church friends, a few of her yoga clients. At 8:14, I sent a screenshot of it to my cousin Ellie. She replied in less than a minute. "They're losing it. Stay quiet. It's killing them." She was right. Then the mask cracked wide open. At 8:32 p.m., an anonymous email landed in my work inbox. Subject line: "Concerns about John." Inside was a poorly formatted accusation, claiming I had abused admin privileges to retaliate against my family, possibly risking client data. No proof. Just thin insinuations. A clumsy attempt to shake my foundation. I laughed quietly. Then I forwarded it to our compliance officer, with screenshots of the family meltdown and voicemail threats attached. By 9 p.m., legal had already marked it as personal, retaliatory, and not credible. No action needed. But that wasn't the point. The point was, they tried. They tried to tear me down because they couldn't control me. At 9:17 p.m., one last ping. From the mortgage lender. The message clinical and cold. "Due to cosigner withdrawal, your refinance agreement must be restructured. You may be at risk of default without a qualifying guarantor." The irony? They hadn't even bothered to read the email thread. They thought kicking me out was as simple as uninviting me from a dinner. But the payments had already doubled. And still? Not one apology. Not even a hollow, empty one. Just escalation. That night, I sat at my desk, a mug of cold tea untouched beside me, staring at a folder full of screenshots. My cousin Ellie kept texting updates from the family group chat. "Your dad's blaming everything on stress. Your mom's saying you always wanted to break away and now you finally found your excuse. Your sister claims you've been unstable since college. She's dredging up stuff from a decade ago." The desperation in those messages stunk. At 10:14 p.m., the last text came in, from my mom. No hello, no context, just one sentence. You left us with nothing. I stared at it, not because it stung, but because she truly believed it, that I was nothing without giving. That silence was some kind of attack. That putting distance between us was betrayal. I typed back 2 words. I stepped away. From what wasn't mine. Then I blocked her. Not out of anger, and not to prove a point, but because she just said the one thing that confirmed everything I needed to know. She didn't miss me. She missed the system I kept running. The buffer I provided. The bailouts. The bandwidth. They hadn't lost me as a person. They lost the stability I gave them. And now, for the first time, they were stuck in a house that wouldn't heat, with locks they couldn't reset, a loan they couldn't carry, and a legacy they couldn't spin. And me? I finally had peace. Not that fragile, fake peace wrapped up in family photos and gaslit forgiveness. Real peace. The kind that only comes when you stop fixing something built to fail. It started with one post. No caption. No hashtags. No cry for sympathy. Just a screenshot. My mom's text. You left us with nothing. No filter. No commentary. Just the raw truth. Then I posted a carousel of evidence. Frame 1. The mortgage refinance email. Frame 2. The cancellation notices from every streaming service, 4 in total. You've been removed from this account. Frame 3. The thermostat error screen, glowing blue and locked. Frame 4. A voicemail transcript. You've gone too far. You've hurt your father. Your brother is distraught. Do you even care what you've done to this family? Frame 5. My Christmas Eve reply. Message received. No emojis. No threats. Just facts. I shared this with a private group of about 24 people, colleagues, business partners, cousins, even a reporter I'd met years ago at a startup launch. And my lawyer. Within the first half hour, 4 of them had reshared it to locked forums. By morning, I had 9 direct messages. Most were some variation of, "Wait, you paid for all this?" No wonder nothing ever added up. They made it sound like I'd lost my mind. By noon, Ellie sent me a screenshot from the family chat. My sister was panicking. He's trying to ruin our name. This is cyberbullying. We didn't do anything wrong. That stopped me. Because that was the heart of it. In their world, taking from me wasn't wrong. Using me wasn't cruel. It was just convenient. They assumed my silence meant consent. That not protesting was permission. It wasn't. It was grief. Old, recycled grief, piled up over years. And now? I was done grieving. Now I was archiving. Next, my cousin Caleb messaged me. "Bro, I always thought your dad was overbearing, but damn, I had no idea it ran this deep." Then a message from one of my old mentors. "Proud of you. Quiet men often carry the heaviest loads. Glad to see you dropping theirs." And then, unexpectedly, my college roommate's wife, someone I hadn't talked to in over 10 years, shared the post with this note. Every family has a story like this. Maybe not as extreme, but the silence, the roles, the invisible debts, "I see you." That hit me hard. Because she was right. This wasn't just my story. It was every quiet son. Every daughter called cold for protecting herself. Every sibling tolerated when convenient and erased when not. At 2:34 p.m., my dad's receptionist emailed me directly. "Hi. Sorry to reach out this way, but no one can access the firm's files. Nobody has the admin passwords. Mr. Harris said you set up the system." I replied, "Correct. And I funded it. As of this week, the courtesy has expired." She answered once. "Understood." But I heard from Ellie that my dad was furious. Apparently, he threw a table during a company meeting and shouted something about ungrateful children and betrayal. He didn't mention the unpaid licenses. Or that every server ran through my business account. Or all the years I patched, upgraded, and secured their systems for free. At 5:01 p.m., my mom posted on Facebook. "Family is hard. The holidays bring emotions. But forgiveness is sacred. We choose love." Hundreds of likes. Heart emojis. Comments from church friends and old neighbors. But the very first comment beneath her post was the earthquake. From Grandpa Joe. You ignored him until he left. Now you want what he gave. You don't miss your son. You miss the system. Sit with that. That comment got more likes than her post, all in less than an hour. Then messages started flooding in from people I never expected. My high school English teacher, a former client referred to my parents' firm, a neighbor who used to wave but never speak. Each one said something like, I saw. I believe you. Thank you. By 6:40 p.m., I wasn't a whisper anymore. I was the shift. At 7 p.m., my company's Slack exploded. A teammate linked the post and said, Hey, I think this is John's family. If so, oh God, absolute masterclass in boundaries. Another replied, Can we promote him again? Just for this? I said nothing. Didn't need to. I wasn't a ghost in their machine anymore. I was a mirror they couldn't look away from. Then, at 9:17 p.m., something else happened. A journalist I'd worked with years ago at a tech ethics panel messaged me. Saw the thread. It's blowing up behind closed doors. People want to talk to you. But I won't publish anything without your say-so. I thanked her and said, Not yet. Because this wasn't revenge. It was a quiet reckoning. The kind that happens when the infrastructure collapses. Not with a bang, but with a simple decision. No more. They built a lie. All I did was show the receipts. And for once, they couldn't say I overreacted. Because I didn't react at all. I just let them feel the silence they spent years pretending didn't hurt.